Hello guys and welcome back. This is Mr. Siege. Now, I was asked in-game in the Siege chat, what was the best 1v1 dueling pairing now for a Siege March in Rise of Kingdoms? Now, I know we've had some new commanders, obviously Stephen, John, and even others that you could use in a Siege March, but we're just ignoring those for now. So, previously, from loads of duels I've done in the past, I've found that Baba and Gauge Armada seem to be the best. Now, I've given basically the strongest pair before, obviously, Arthur coming out, and obviously Arthur is here now in the Battle Simulator, was Huo Nevsky. And I did used to beat Huo Nevsky with Baba Gauge Armada. Generally, obviously, it just depends on equipment, armaments, and loads of other things, city skins, and it's always been a bit of a close duel. Now, the great thing with the Battle Simulator is obviously you can set item buffs, so we give it 10% defense. Obviously, Ottoman Empire, VIP level 13, 16. We've got all that in there. I've given actually city skin health 10% for cavalry as well, where I've only given siege 5% for the city skin because obviously that's all we've got at the moment. We haven't got anything better. Unless you've got like one of the Zenith of Power city skins, which I don't have. So this is just as if it's like a normal siege player. Um, just giving it an example. But yeah, giving them 10% health for cavalry because they do have a lot of better city skins out there for cavalry pairings. So obviously we've got preset talent trees, and I've got just the normal standard equipment sets now. So obviously we'll just get the battle going and we'll see how this performs on the battle simulator. Now this is just an example of equal equipment. Now I know that isn't the case in many cases with siege marches because we just don't have similar equipment to many other people in the game, especially cavalry, archers, and infantry. Obviously people have been working on those sets of gears for many years, and really Siege is relatively new. I mean, 2 years old now though. Margaret and Baba have been around for 2 years. So let's take a look at these results. And yeah, the first one obviously was a win, 20,000 to 28,000 pretty much, which is obviously pretty decent result. Now I have got horn and ring on both marches. I don't actually own a horn. I should have built a horn ages ago, and really should be the first accessory for a siege march. So get another duel going here, and we are going to play a bit mix around with equipment as well. But first of all, we're going to mess about with some pairings. Now I did say we've got John and Stephen in the game now, but they aren't going to make a difference in the pairings, and I'll show you later in the video. So 28,000, 20,000, pretty much there again. Another pretty easy win. Now, the Battle Simulator isn't 100% accurate. I don't think so. I mean, it just can't be. It's not the same as real in-game testing. And I do some real in-game testing later in the video. In fact, obviously, I did record all the fights, and I've not put the whole fight in the video just because of time. Just the video is going to be long enough as it is, really. Now, this isn't the first time I've actually used this battle simulator to test the ranged pairings at melee range. Obviously, this isn't a ranged test, so forget about this if you're going to use them for range in the field. But I did find out that Cordoba and Gauge Armada was actually very strong in a dueling situation. Again, not at range. I'd probably put Gauge Armada first for the longevity, but in a dueling situation, it's actually getting even better results than Baba and Gauge Armada. Now, this is one pairing I've not really tested this way around before in a duel. I don't like to waste resources and speed ups and stuff generally in, in the game. So that's the great thing about the Battle Simulator. And as you can see, we are getting great results against Huo Nevsky with this Battle Simulator. And obviously, again, we're going to test it out in game. So great results there. Kind of unexpected. Okay, I thought Baba Gauge was very good, but Cordoba Gauge dueling also seems fantastic. So 20,000 to 18,500 there again. So let's compare the results. Now, we took 1,000 on average less severely wounded troops with Cordoba-Gaja, and we also dealt a little bit more to Huo Nevsky. Now, the big question is, how can this march perform against Huo Arthur, obviously the latest and greatest new cavalry commander, and he is very, very good, very strong on the field, obviously fought against him many times. Some good results, some bad results, like every other march. But check it out here, we have actually won this duel. And again, this is Battle Simulator. Now, you may see we've got more troops as well here. And we have 3% more troop capacity in the talent tree. So that gives us 6,000 more troops to obviously fight with, to use in the duel. And obviously it does have a bit of a benefit, but again, so does the talents on Huoka Bing. This is just another talent you'd pick up in the tree, so as a fair duel, that's what you'd use. Now, I'm not so sure about this. I wouldn't have thought that the Siege March in melee range could beat Huo and Arthur. I think that's just a little bit too far-fetched, especially this much. And to be honest with you, we're in KVK right now, and it's going to be extremely hard to test out. But we're actually going to crit every single bit of equipment here now, and see what sort of difference that would make. I mean, I don't have a full crit set, but obviously, just to compare the results, in theory, they should be better for the Siege March because obviously we get even more stats on gear that already has higher stats than any other gear. For the first test, didn't seem like it. Like, it's very, very close, pretty even duel to be honest with you. This second one, completely blown away by the looks of it. This is a very, very different result, but you get this in duels. It does vary in results. 29,000 to 17,700. That absolutely slapped that Huo Kabing and Arthur. But again, it doesn't happen all the time. So far, every single time it's won. And I'll tell you now, that wasn't the same as the in-game test I did. And like I say, we did do actually a no gear test and no armament test. But, maybe something's not quite right here in the battle simulator, but we'll get on to that. So, the ring seems a very good option, but how does this march fare up with the Delane's amulet? How much difference is the ring to the Delane's amulet? I thought we'd just change some equipment round, do a couple of tests with some different equipment. And you know what? It hasn't made a lot of difference. Yes, the Siege March did lose, but honestly, for such a cheap equipment piece, accessory, that's not a bad result. And as you can see, it's fairly even. But the ring does definitely do more than the Delanes at melee range here. Again, it's another defeat for the Siege March. So it just shows you how important I guess these accessories could be. But for an epic accessory against Huo Arthur is quite interesting results in my opinion. Again, we'll just do it for a third time, and you could get the win here this time, and it does only slightly. Yeah, good result, a good result. So, what other accessories could we use? Now, obviously, we've got the plume. We won't crit it because the chances of having a crit plume are very unlikely. I know one person does, and that's Gaines Gaming, of course. And surprisingly, the plume does actually do pretty well in these tests. I'd say not as good as a ring on average, and I did put into a spreadsheet and obviously did look at it, and yeah, the results weren't as good. But like I say, we don't need to compare those in tables really. Now, I did one more test on this, and this time it was completely flipped upside down, and we lost by a good margin. And this is a trouble with Plume, like, it may only work on the terrible direct damage amounts, and obviously then you're doing very, very little for such an expensive piece, which is why I don't recommend anyone investing in the plume. You're better off going for your horn and ring, or even horn and a drum if you're running multiple siege marches. Now, I also thought it's probably worth testing the Greatest Glory, obviously with Cordova and Garja being both smite commanders, and obviously doing normal damage. The Greatest Glory could be pretty decent, and it's guaranteed. It's 5% more normal damage or range normal damage of any types basically. Obviously there you can see it wasn't that great, even though it's called the Greatest Glory. Um, but now, it's performed well this time. And this is the trouble with Jules. It just could be various different results. Smashed it that time though. I was expecting it to be less varied, to be honest with you. But the horn can also make a big difference, I suppose, how many times that actually procs. So there you go. Not that effective, especially compared to the ring. I thought it'd be better results from the Greatest Glory there, but now just to try the ring once again, just to show you how great this actually does, and it's actually very consistent, which was actually surprising to me. So obviously, I wanted to try the horn and the drum. Obviously, horn and the drum's very useful if you've got three marches, and as you can see, we've got a first win, which is great, and that's just a single troop as well. So you've got three troops on the field, they're benefiting from the drum as well. So actually, to get a win with just a 1v1 with the drum is kind of surprising. This second one doesn't look as good at all, but yeah, very close actually. And again, like I say, the drums benefit in other marches, not just benefiting this one. And we did actually take more severely wounded that time, even though we won the duel. So that's not really beneficial at all, is it really? And this time it looks like quite an easy win. So again, just um, just quite surprising. Yeah, 19,000, 28,000, nearly 29,000 severely wounded for the Huo Nevsky. No, sorry, Huo Arthur. And we'll just try it once more, this time with Baba Garjamada, see how that performs. And I actually really rate the drum. I think it's actually a really good accessory. And this shows that it's actually pretty strong. Stronger than I actually thought it would be for a single march, but there you go. Another win, 28,000, 22,000, nearly 23,000 severely wounded though. We are taking more severely wounded with the drum compared to the ring. And we'll be doing another one apparently, just to get plenty of tests in. But yeah, it's quite close. Another very close one. So I think we'll stick the ring on again next time, and obviously we'll try Baba Gorge Armada again, which is one I thought was the strongest Siege March 1v1 dueling pairing. Um, Now, as you remember, Cordoba and Gorge Armada actually beat the Huo Arthur every time with the Horn and Ring, I do believe. So this is a bit of a good test, and yeah, it does lose. So Cordoba Garja is actually looking stronger. We'll just try it once more. Maybe it's a bit of a fluke. Closer this time. Yeah, we've still won this one. So another good result for the Siege March. 27,000, 22,000. Okay, right. I think we need to start mixing some pairings around in a minute, and yeah, we'll just do one more, and then we're gonna get John and Stephen in the mix, and I'll show you the difference that these two make in terms of like melee range or 1v1, and I think they're gonna be a lot weaker. Um, they just don't do as much damage at melee range like your Baba and your Cordoba. So I think Cordoba and Garja is the strongest 1v1 pairing. But yeah, let's do some mix and match. So we'll try John and Stephen. Okay, so John and Stephen, you would pair them together on the field. Now look how they get slapped by this Huo Arthur. So yeah, if a Huo Arthur runs at you, John and Stephen, you're pretty much demolished here. And yeah, we don't need to look at results. We're just gonna quickly bang other siege commanders in, just some possible pairings, and just see if they can actually get anywhere close to a win. Again, absolutely smashed here with your Stephen as primary, which is kind of expected. John does work better as a primary anyway, but I thought it could be different at melee range. Now we'll try your obviously Margaret Cordoba. This isn't the strongest as March is like in a 1v1 situation, but it absolutely slaps at range, and I do love this March. You know what? Not a terrible result. I was expecting worse, but as you can see, your John and Stephen is actually performing worse at melee range than Margaret Cordoba, and that's quite a squishy March. Margaret Cordoba is. And I have found that a little bit this KVK that John and Stephen do go down quite quickly when they're getting swarmed. So now we'll try your Margaret and Baba. Obviously, this was the first original march. We'll see. It wasn't a bad march, and it's quite tanky. Um, your Baba gives it a bit more health, and obviously this is quite close. We've actually got the Huo and Arthur in the red, but still lost ultimately. Try it once more, see if we can get any closer. Still a loss. Yeah, a clear loss, but not a terrible result. And a melee range with commanders that were out 2 years ago against Huo and Arthur. I don't think that's bad at all. John Baba, worth a try. As you can see, loses again. Not as bad as John and Stephen though. I'm surprised that Stephen paired with John just like died that easily. Very very squishy when they get close up apparently. And yeah, like I say, I did find that a little bit. Now we're not going to try the epic commanders, of course. Um, yeah, we'll try Baba as John this time. And again, yeah, it's just not doing it. Now, obviously, John will do more damage when obviously the Who and Arthur get to less than 50% units remaining or 50% health. Um, but you know what? It's just taking too long to even get to 50%. That you can't do that all damage, that 40% all damage or 30% all damage. Can't remember exactly what it is now, but yeah, it's not doing it. So yeah, switching all these round. I mean, you can put Gar as your primary, and it does do a decent job still. Let's just see how it does actually. We'll just compare it, and yeah, it's probably still going to win this one. So as you can see, Gar, Jamad, and Cordoba are ridiculously strong, even at 1v1. I know they're a ranged pairing, but yeah, they're even possible to hold their own against Huo Arthur potentially. Now, the problem is it's very unlikely that's going to happen on the field because most people with cavalry have got way better gear than your siege marches. Generally, there's an odd siege player out there like Phil, um, Jay from 1960, and obviously they'd probably hold their own against certain marches. But then again, when you're in 1960 or 1093, then you're going to be facing people with fantastic cavalry gear as well. So is it actually going to hold its own there? I'm not sure. Especially in that melee situation or getting swarmed situation, hard to say. So now I'm going to play around with some other marches that you're probably going to face on the field. Again, we've preset the equipment and everything like that. Again, we've got horn and ring, which again I don't have a horn. I really need to get one. So yeah, you may face a William and Luce on the field, or would it be Luce William? You have to excuse me, I don't really know the best optimal 1v1 pairings in terms of infantry and archer. I did speak to a guy in game about the archer pairing. He did say Shajar Asher, and we do that test. Now in this one we tested against Asher Shajar the wrong way round. But yeah, a couple of tests here against William Luce, and William Luce is actually holding up pretty well. Still loses against the Siege March, and I guess is that kind of surprising? I don't know. I've beat this March dueling on the field plenty of times. The March I really struggle against generally dueling against is Huo and whoever else, and I don't think it really helps with the massive amount of rage that Huo can generate. He almost does two active skills by the time I'm about to launch my first, and by then it's about ended. Okay, so yeah, we're just switching around a few others here. We've got the Luce Alex. Now, as you can expect, the Luce Alex isn't going to hold up very well, and Alex is such an old commander. But he does perform very well on the field in like murder ball situations. But 1v1, definitely not the best option. So we'll try the Ashid Banipur and Shajar. Like I say, I'm not sure if this is the better pairing or not, but someone did say put Shajar as primary, and we did test that actually in game. Um, there was some tech differences though, because obviously on this with Ashurbanipal as primary, as you can see, it's a clear win. Um, so, guys, if you want any other things testing, I can have a bit of a test on the battle simulator and show you the results. Join the Siege Discord if you haven't already. Loads of decent stuff on there, and if you want to ask any questions, you can do. I try and pop on as much as I can. Obviously, I've got a bit of a busy life too, so I do my best. I do my best to answer all questions in there if possible. And if I can't answer you, then there's plenty of other people that would do. Um, I don't know. Would you use Ashurbanipal and Liang? I don't know. It's a little bit closer this time. Very slightly. But again, I'm not sure if this is even a compatible march. I don't know anything about archers. So let's just try Liang Herman anyway. I know that's obviously a decent march on the field, but 1v1 wise, not the best. And there we go. A clear win again. Now, I think it's about time to go in game. I guess we could just quickly try Gorgo Luce, wherever he is. But yeah, about time to go in game. And obviously, I've already done the tests against some people in the other camps in obviously my KVK, but it is hard to do during KVK with Crystal Tech and loads of other things like stratagems and like holy sites, sanctuaries. They all make different buffs and all that. So yeah, let's go and see the results that I got in game. So the first duel I did was actually against Huo Nevsky. I couldn't get hold of a Huo Arthur straight away, and as you can see, we absolutely smashed that march, 21,000 to 33,000 severely wounded. The equipment's very similar to mine, and it's got no horn as well, which is very handy. It actually had the dagger, um, so that made it a lot easier for me because obviously the horn is just so good, and a decent set of armaments, but the armaments actually aren't quite as good as mine, I wouldn't say, and the stats on there aren't quite as good either. So that did make it quite an easy duel, and as you can see, yeah, 150% kill point ratio. Um, that's a good start. Now the second one I did was against Shajar and Asher. So this was a guy, this is Bobik, and obviously he said Shajar and Asher is the best archery duel 1v1 march. And this is the equipment he had, which is absolutely wild to be honest with you. Like the iconic tiers are crazy on these, and that had a huge impact in the result, of course. And his armaments are actually pretty decent as well. So, really strong march, and no surprise, we actually lost that one. 75% kill point ratio. Um, and then we tried again. This time, I think we took equipment off and armaments, or maybe left armaments on. But he did have 6 points in improved morale, and my tech is nowhere near that good. I just sort of give up on tech towards the end of KVK. It just goes down the pan. So then we tried against a Huo Arthur, and we lost. It wasn't a bad result, but take a look at Huo's gear here. It's actually fairly decent. Um, got the horn as well, which just makes a massive difference against me. That rage regeneration is just crazy, and yeah, just going through his gear here, it's way better than mine. So getting that result, I was kind of happy with. Um, I believe his tech was on a similar level to mine though this time, and his armaments aren't crazy. So again, very hard to do a very equal duel in KVK. Now, we tried again against another Huo Arthur, someone from my kingdom called Deutsch. And as you can see here, we got beat. And this was, we tried to match gear and it didn't go very well. And then finally, we took all our gear off, tried again, 27,000, 24,000. This was the closest I could get, and I just said, good night. I am fed up of testing by now. So It's very, very close actually with the Huo Arthur. Kind of madly surprised. I would never have expected to beat it anyway. Now, the Battle Simulator says I could potentially do that, and we'll have to see in the future, maybe the Home Kingdom. So, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. This is me, Mr. Siege, and bye bye.